Hey, Stone Cousins, you already know what time it is, and I made it horror stories, and I made it horror stories, I started smiling, husband, because my husband was like, "I know when you're recording, I hear your claps, I hear you howling." Like I love you. Where are we at today? Our good cousins SSG Animations House. What does that mean? Go over there, subscribe, obviously. Say what's up. Tell them your good cousin T sent ya. All that good stuff. Then come back and finish being over here. Duh. I'm just telling y'all to go over there. Don't you can stay, but make sure remember who sent ya. Thing. All right, what are we doing today? I believe it's three true gym slash yoga horror stories animated. I've done one before, and the one I did before was insane. She bashed that man's head in all over the place. I don't know if I can find it right away when I'm trying to do this, but I'll see. I'll try to tag it at the end of this one so y'all can watch that one because that one was extreme. And it was either SSG or IMR, one of our good two cousins that did that over there. But yeah, let's get up in here. You see, like the video, already subscribed. I turn on the captions because I love captions, and let's get into it. As always, please go grab a blunt, grab a bottle of water, grab a blanket if you need to, and grab a bag of chips just because, the blunt's gonna make you want a little snack. Okay? And let's get into it.
The year 2015 was the worst year of my life.
Mm,
I had been in a very abusive relationship at the time with a man named Nathaniel Reed.
I'm sorry,
I nearly
2015 was
lost
a
my
good
life during my
year.
toxic relationship with Nate, and it took everything I had just to escape the abuse I endured. Things were still hard for me, even after I had left him, as Nate followed me around, threatening to kill me.
Mm-mm.
I can never forget what he said to me on the day I told him I was leaving him.
What'd he say?
As he looked me in the eyes, he said, "The day you leave me, Polly, is the day I take your life away from you."
Mm-mm.
The situation got so bad that I had to take out a restraining order against him. My life remained in shambles after my horrific relationship, but amidst all my pain, I found yoga and it saved my life.
Oh, he's gonna stalk you,
I
huh?
had never really been interested in yoga as I wasn't a fan and didn't believe it worked. However, one fateful afternoon, my friend Clarice, who was an avid yoga enthusiast, asked me if I wanted to go. I declined at first, saying I wasn't in the mood, but Clarice convinced me, saying, "Look, Polly, I'm tired of seeing you fall deeper into depression
Like
as you
you're never
continue
in the
feeling
mood. You
sorry
need
for
to
yourself.
meditate, get
Just
that shit
give
up
yoga a
out you.
chance and you'll feel better in no time. Trust me." I still wasn't convinced, and we argued about the matter for a few minutes before Clarice finally convinced me.
What is you arguing
I can still
for?
remember
After
walking
you
into
said
the
no, I
yoga
would have
class
walked
after
away
we
and
had
came back and
arrived at
asked
the
you
yoga
again.
studio that afternoon. The yoga instructor walked in and told us we were going to be doing something called Hatha Yoga. The session lasted about an hour, and going to that yoga class changed my life. I'd often heard that doing yoga was a life-changing experience,
It is.
but
It's
I never
amazing.
believed it until my first yoga class. I began noticing the effects pretty quickly, and it was amazing. My stress and anxiety levels reduced drastically with every class I participated in. I started eating healthy again, going out more, and getting
Good.
more sleep. I'd also made a lot of new friends in the yoga community, and for the first time in a long while, I was truly happy. And it was all because of yoga. Unfortunately for me, this happiness didn't last long, as on the 13th of February 2016, I experienced unspeakable horrors during my beloved yoga classes. I can still remember how I felt that fateful morning. I was really excited as my yoga instructor, a man named Krish Patil, asked me if I wanted to go out to dinner on Valentine's Day. I'd been spending time with Krish ever since I began my yoga classes. We'd gotten closer over the months, and I knew he had a crush on me. It was difficult for me to open up to him at first, as I was still traumatized by my last relationship. But Krish was a patient and sweet guy.
I mean, no,
Attending his
he's your
yoga classes
instructor.
also helped me to move on from the past. So when he asked me out, I decided to give him a chance, because I wanted to re-enter the dating world, and I agreed to go out with him. We'd planned to go out on Valentine's Day, and I was looking forward to seeing him at my yoga classes that afternoon so we could finalize our plans. But when I got to the yoga studio, Krish was nowhere to be found.
Who's there?
I looked around for him but was informed he hadn't arrived yet and that a replacement yoga instructor had filled in for Krish's classes that day. As I walked into the class, I studied the new instructor, and he seemed oddly familiar. The
Girl,
man
you don't
who said
know
his
who
name
that
was
is?
George had black hair and blue eyes. I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd met him before, but no matter how much I tried,
Please.
my brain wasn't able to figure out who he was or where I'd met him.
Girl.
Before the classes started, George told everyone that we were going to do an advanced type of Hatha yoga. I'd done Hatha yoga a couple of times before, but there was something very different about this one. For those who don't know, Hatha yoga is a 90-minute class, usually carried out in a room that had been heated to 40 degrees Celsius or 104 degrees Fahrenheit. However, the room felt much hotter than that during George's Hatha yoga class. I could tell the room was way hotter than it was supposed to be, as I'd experienced Hatha yoga before, but George didn't seem to mind as he kept the heat absurdly high. I tried to stay hydrated throughout the class, but the heat eventually became too much for me to bear. I was already finding it difficult to breathe as George kept ramping up the heat, and I could tell the excessive heat was affecting the other members of the class, so I walked up to him and said, "I don't mean to be rude, George, but don't you think the room's far too hot?
Hot as
It's meant to
hell.
be hot yoga, not scorching yoga.
And
And
you
if
know
you
it's
keep
not
ramping
George.
up the heat, we're all going to pass out."
And die.
George remained silent for a few seconds before he looked me in the eyes and said,
You don't remember?
"Well, I wouldn't want you to pass out before I get the chance to kill you, my sweet Polly."
Oh, yeah.
My heart dropped into my stomach as
Because, girl, you
George
should have
finished
been
his
knew who it
statement,
was.
and a horrific realization dawned on me. My brain had finally figured out why the replacement yoga instructor looked so familiar, as it was now clear to me that George, the yoga instructor, was actually my abusive boyfriend, Nate. He had disguised himself pretty well, as he had cut and dyed his hair black, shaved his beard, and
Disguised himself pretty
he had
well.
disguised himself pretty well.
Girl, please stop. Oh. But please stop. You see the eyebrows. You see the eyes. He just put some contacts in. You see the nose. You see them nasty ass teeth. Yeah, he cut his hair, but you see the hairline. Like, come on now. Ears. He ain't changed his fit. Stop playing with me.
Well, as he
You
had
know
cut
that.
and dyed his hair black, shaved his beard, and wore blue contact lenses to hide the real color of his brown eyes.
You know that's him.
I could also tell he had been distorting his voice so I wouldn't recognize him quickly, but his perfect disguise fell apart once he uttered the words, "My sweet Polly," as he was the only one who called me that. My body was crippled with fear at this point, but I managed to scream and run away from him. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get that far before he pinned me down and punched me across the face.
Oh, the girls
The other
don't
women
jump
in
him?
the yoga class, who quickly noticed our yoga instructor had attacked me, rushed to my aid as they tried to pry Nate off me. However,
Y'all better
right
jump
before
him.
they could take him off,
Oh,
Nate brought out a gun
He
he'd been
got a
concealing
gun.
and brutally shot the closest three women who were trying to subdue him
Oh.
in cold blood.
he in here shooting.
All three of them were killed instantly, and within seconds, pure chaos ensued as everyone rushed, screaming towards the exits. Nate then placed the gun down as he wrapped his arms around my throat.
Oh,
He
he's
then
shooting.
looked me in the eyes and said, "Didn't I tell you that I'd kill you if you ever left me, Polly?
You did, but
You
no
really
one took
thought
that
hiding in
serious.
this yoga studio, doing some stupid yoga, would help you get over our relationship and forget about me?
Ain't nobody was
Well,
hiding.
I'm
I was
going to strangle
relaxing.
you to death in the yoga studio that you love so much to make you pay for leaving me."
That's insane. Get
Nate
off
tightened
of
his
her.
arms around my neck as I gasped for air.
Oh,
I kicked
God.
and thrashed around as I tried everything I could
Where's
to
all
push
the
him off
other
me,
women? They
but he
left?
didn't budge.
I mean, he did shoot
I was
three
losing
women.
consciousness now, but I wasn't willing to give up as I kept fighting. But
Oh, my
nothing worked as
goodness.
Nate
This
didn't let
looks
up.
pretty gruesome.
The world around me was going dark now, and all I could see was Nate's bulging red eyes as he choked me to death. I began to lose the feeling in my legs now, and my eyes grew heavy.
Ugh.
But right before the world went dark,
Someone
two
hit him?
large men burst into the room and attacked Nate. Nate tried to reach for his gun, but
Boy.
he wasn't able to get to it in time as he had already been subdued.
Punch him in the head.
I noticed
Kick him.
the men who had taken him off me weren't police officers. They were the security guards who worked at the gate of the yoga studio.
They heard the
They
shot.
told me they had heard the screaming and gunshots and that
Yeah.
the police were on their way. I was still gasping for air, but I managed to thank them for saving my life. It wasn't long after that before I could hear the sirens, and Nate was arrested.
As he
When
should
questioned
be,
by the
freaking
detectives,
bastard.
Nate confessed to the police that he had been stalking me and monitoring my every move, even after I placed a restraining order against him. When asked why he decided to wait all this time to kill me, Nate told the police that he found out about my date with my yoga instructor, Krish, the next day, and it infuriated him. So he followed Krish home and shot him in his bed that night. He then gathered some fake credentials and called the yoga studio to impersonate the replacement yoga instructor so he could get to me. Nate also told the police that he had planned to kill me after the yoga class was over and I was alone, but he didn't expect me to recognize him before he could carry out his plan.
Of course he did.
The news of Nate's confession horrified our entire town, and I cried and blamed myself for Krish's death. It took a few weeks before Nate was sent and the plan was over and I was alone in the yoga studio to impersonate the night. He then gathered some fake credentials and called the yoga studio to impersonate the replacement yoga instructor. He found out about my date with my yoga instructor.
Yeah,
Time to
I knew
kill
that.
me. Nate told the police that he
I'm trying to
found
do
out
an
about
email
my
from
date
my
with
mom.
my yoga instructor, Krish, the next day, and it infuriated him. So he followed Krish home and shot him in his bed that night. He then
Wow,
gathered some
creepy
fake
bastard.
credentials and called the yoga studio to impersonate the replacement yoga instructor so he could get to me. Nate also told the police that he had planned to kill me after the yoga class was over and I was alone, but he didn't expect me to recognize him before he could carry out his plan. The news of Nate's confession horrified our entire town, and I cried and blamed myself for Krish's death. It took a few weeks before Nate was sentenced in court.
It's a shame.
The trial was very short, and Nate was locked away for life. It's been a few years since this happened, but despite getting justice in the end, I still feel like Nate won. I am forever traumatized by that day.
I mean,
Every time I go to a yoga class,
he did kill
I
your,
remember all the
your
horrific things I
rebound
went
man.
through. I've tried to use therapy to get over it, but absolutely nothing works. This trauma continues to hurt me every day as my beloved yoga, which once brought me peace, now brings me nothing but fear and terror.
Sorry, Buki.
Hey guys, my name is Ralph. I'm one of those people who spends all day at the gym. What can I tell you? I love training. I've been doing it since I was a teenager and I never stopped. Over time, I became a personal trainer and have won several martial arts competitions. I am committed to what I do. Anyway, I have a very low profile, and it doesn't bother me at all. If you see me in the gym, I'm just one of the crowd, training and minding my own business. Despite this, I'm very friendly, but I think discipline is the most important thing. So while I'm on training time, you'll never see me getting distracted, laughing with other people, or even wearing clothes that show off my muscles or draw too
Why
much
not?
attention to myself. I'm just happy doing my thing. Of course, not everyone is like me, and this is where I introduce you to Gary. Gary is a man. Quirky. He's been coming to the gym for less time than I have, but for some reason he always thought he was the king of the place. I tried to give him a chance and not judge him too much without knowing him, but every time I heard him talk to other people and made himself heard, I got the same impression. He was a person who just worked out to get attention, a person who thought he was more than everyone else. Someone who made new people feel bad and walked around the gym like he owned it, harassing people to get off the machines he wanted to use. Of course, he never messed with me. Even though I was more discreet, he could see that I wasn't a new person or that I looked at him with fear or discomfort. Still, I was aware that he often talked about me with his girlfriend as they looked at me and laughed together. I didn't mind. As long as he didn't mess with me, he could laugh all he wanted. But there was just one problem. One day, he did pick on me. That day was a normal afternoon at the gym. Gary was being relatively annoying, harassing a teenager just starting. It all started with Gary wanting him to get off a machine he wanted to use, but seeing that the kid was easy to harass, he started following him around, laughing at how little weight he was lifting and rushing him off machines he didn't even want to use. After a few minutes of harassment, the gym owner saw the situation and became very upset with Gary. He threatened to take away his gym membership if he continued to harass new people and even said he would beat him up, too.
But
Gary might be a bully, but he understood his position in the food chain because his only response to the gym owner was to apologize and tell him he would leave the new guy alone. But this didn't sit well with Gary. After that, he kept hanging around the gym, furious and looking for a fight with the first person he came across. And that person was me.
you?
At that moment, the whole
I knew
gym
it.
was afraid to unleash the fury that Gary was accumulating. Everyone dodged him and got out of the machines when he arrived. Unlike the rest, I was just doing my routine, and as I headed for
Minding
the
your
weights,
own damn
Gary and
business.
his girlfriend were in the way, and the giant man shoved me with his shoulder when I tried to pass. Surprised that he had done something so immature, I turned to look at him, to
You
which
said,
he
"Boy,
began
get
to
out the way."
insult me up and down. I acted more calmly and told him that it was his fault for putting his shoulder hard. It didn't take a second for the response to come. Gary became enraged at the simple fact that I had responded to him and tried to take a swing at me. I
Gary,
evaded
get your
him
ass
and
up out of
quickly
here.
punched him back in the face, knocking him
Oh!
off balance and out of the fight with no problem. Before I could figure out what was going on, I had a bunch of people surrounding me,
Was everybody
separating
like,
us both
"Oh,
from fighting.
good shit. You
I
knocked him."
immediately calmed down and thought about going back to my business, but Gary
was
hadn't
hot
given
and
up.
heavy.
He kept insulting me and desperately yelling at me to come over if I had the guts.
Boy, ain't nobody care about
Naturally, I was not interested in continuing this fight. I could have knocked him out right then and there, but I'm not like that, and I'm not interested in being like that.
you. It's the damn.
I decided to go back to my business and let this clown insult me alone, but he took the next step.
Followed
The
you
man
again.
dodged the people who were grabbing him and ran around the side of the gym to catch up to me and try again to hit me before
Turn
someone
around.
else separated us one more time. When he tried to hit me, I dodged him again and gave him a hard punch in the face, which knocked him out immediately and made him fall to the ground.
Oh.
His girlfriend helped him up and he left the gym humiliated.
Oh yeah, she was pissed off.
The owner of the gym came
She
up
was
to me and
like, "Do you know how many people we bully? Do you know how many people we talk shit to? Gary, you know how crazy we are? And you let that man knock you on your ass like that twice? Not once, but twice? He knocked you on your ass and then he almost knocked you out? Yeah, Gary, I don't know. You're gonna have to kill him or we're gonna break up." I know that's what she said, because what?
told me that he saw the tapes of what happened,
No, they're
making
bullying
it clear
everybody.
that I did what I had to do and that he didn't
And then
blame
nobody
me for what had
Knocked
happened.
him up, beat him
He
down.
also told me that Gary would never set foot in that place again as a partner.
Don't worry about it. He's gonna
After that, the
meet him in
days at the
parking lot.
gym went much smoother. Without realizing it or wanting it, I became somewhat of a star at the gym.
Like I
Everyone
said, 'cause you
greeted
beat
me
him.
and was happy with me for getting Gary out of there.
I don't remember
I
your
didn't
name.
care
I'll call
about
you
any
Tom.
of that. I mean,
Everybody's
I
like, "Hey,
smiled
Tom."
and thanked them every time they said something to me, but I wasn't proud of starring in a simple street fight at the gym. What I didn't know was that this fight was far from over. I should have
You thought it was
realized that
over?
Gary would be furious about what happened. The man doesn't like and isn't used to losing a fight. And one day on the street, he
So he
came at
says.
me. I was walking to the gym that day. I live a few blocks away, so I always walk. I was going like any other day, but all of a sudden, I felt a very strong blow on my ankle that made me fall
Did
to
you
the
an
ground.
ankle?
Not understanding what was happening, I turned around and saw my attacker.
Gary?
It was Gary, but he was not alone.
His
There were two
girlfriend?
men of similar physical build next to him, probably friends. They all had a metal pipe in their hands and looked like they were
Y'all gonna
anxious
beat him
to hurt
down
me
with
more.
some pipe?
Without waiting a second longer than necessary, the three men kicked me violently on the floor.
Oh!
The kicks were very painful, but also somewhat clumsy. They seemed to be under the influence of alcohol or
Imagine getting beat up, but still saying, "Yeah, they tried to whoop my ass, but the kicks they kind of hurt, but they're clumsy." Like, boy, please, you were down there getting stumped and smashed. Talk about some clumsy. I know they hurt.
painful, but also somewhat clumsy. They seemed to be under the influence of alcohol or drugs. I tried to get away as best I could, but Gary grabbed me by the hair and dragged
Ooh.
me down the sidewalk into the street. He was
Oh,
really out of it, with a rage I had never seen in him before.
boy, you beat
People
his ass at
passing
the
by called the
gym.
police or just watched, but
Y'all
no one
didn't
came
help?
forward to do anything. Could
Wow.
I blame them? Not many would go up to these three savage men and fight with them to defend a stranger. And all the punching and
That's
kicking, I
crazy.
knew that somehow I had to do something or I was going to die.
You will.
These people were not holding back, and accidentally or not, they were possibly going to kill me.
Oh no, they
In
did
all
not
the
care.
kicking, I grabbed Gary's leg and pulled it
Period.
back, causing him to fall to the ground.
Because Gary can't
Once
fight.
on the floor, I used my two fingers to squeeze his eyes. I knew I had to squeeze them, but not too hard, otherwise I could kill him. While
Period.
one of Gary's friends kept hitting me in the back, another one grabbed me with his huge arms and pulled me
You
away
hit him
from
at the
Gary.
hit him with your head.
Once away, they
him
both
with your
stayed
head.
with their friend while I managed to stand on one foot and left, jumping in pain.
Good, good,
Gary
good.
recovered quickly and came charging back to continue attacking me.
Ah, try
I
to
ran
go
into
faster.
a nearby barber shop asking for help, and everyone was shocked at how beat up I was.
So they helped you.
Gary and his friend soon entered the salon, and a huge bully rammed me to the floor, ready to hit me again.
Oh my
Gary
god.
was surprised that this time his friends were not helping him. When he looked up, he too stopped.
Who's
The
over
owner
there?
of the barbershop was pointing a shotgun at him.
Yes,
A few
period.
minutes later, the
'Cause
police
they don't play
arrived
that
and
in
took the three
barbershop.
men away.
You can't pull that
The
shit
owner
up
of the
in here.
barbershop told me how he had a gun in case they came in to rob him, as it had been happening quite often in the neighborhood.
Yep.
Due to my injury, I was unable to train for several months, but after a while, I was fine.
What are you training
After
for?
he and his friends were arrested, I never heard from Gary again.
Period,
Neither
'cause he's
he
weird.
nor his girlfriend ever came back to the gym. I didn't even see them in the neighborhood.
She probably left
The only
him.
thing I hope is that if this psycho is in another gym, he has learned a lesson from what he went through and finally behaves with a little more humility.
Some bitch. Oh, no way! Real footage? Oh! He thought his bigness was about to handle things, but it looked like you hit him first, buddy. Did he hit you, or was he about to hit you?
Behaves with a little more humility.
Oh, okay. He did bump you extra hard. But yeah, it looks like you pushed him first. Yeah, he swung, but it does look like you pushed him. I don't know. Yeah, you got him at the end,
Hello,
but I don't know.
My name... I prefer not to tell you my real name. Let's say my
That's
name is
alright, we
Barbara.
don't need it.
I'm sorry. I'm a little paranoid.
That's
But
okay.
after this story, you will understand why.
Girl, I understand
I'm
already.
not going to tell you that before this happened, I was a deluded and innocent person. I know what bullying is like, and I have
Were you the
experienced
bully?
it many times.
Oh, did
even
we
as
see
a
this one?
child. But I have never experienced anything like what happened to me that day. I could have been unharmed, but I feel that day I had a significantly sadder life. As if I had lost something that I could never get back.
I don't know.
I
You
would
look
like
like
to
that
tell
one
you
girl that
that
was
this was
bullying
a one-day
that one
thing.
girl,
But in reality,
and she
it
came
was
and tore
something
shit
that
up.
went on for several weeks.
So
The first day it all happened
let's just
was
see
the
where the
day
story about
I
to go.
least expected it. It was at the gym with my boyfriend,
Okay.
working out as I had been most of the week. He was near
Bayoni
me,
Manny.
lifting weights, while I was working with a kettlebell. To work with this kettlebell, I had to squat down and stand up. I did my exercises as normal until my boyfriend, who was standing near me, asked me if I was okay. When he spoke to me, he seemed as nice as ever, but I knew him and immediately realized that something was wrong.
What
He
happened?
was just doing an exercise. Why would he come to me and ask me if everything was okay? I
someone
tried to
staring at
ask
you?
him what was wrong, but he wouldn't tell me. Instead, he just said he wanted to say hello and went back to doing his exercises. I went on with my exercises too.
Is he
For
freaky?
some reason, though, I was uncomfortable. Haven't you ever had the feeling of being watched? I know that in a gym, someone will always be watching you.
But
This feeling was different. While I was doing my exercises,
why didn't he stay
I
with you?
felt just wrong, like something was out of place.
Who's watching you?
Maybe it was just a coincidence, but soon after, I realized that something was wrong. The reason my boyfriend had approached me
Was because
was that there was a man behind me. That man
Mm.
didn't look scary. He was about my age
but he was
and
still
not very
walking
muscular.
creepy.
But I could tell he had been going to the gym for a while.
Just
I'd
watching
seen him
people.
around here a few times before, and he almost always did exercises near me or stared at me. I thought it was a
Mm.
typical attitude of a man who wanted to talk back to me, and that he would calm down when he saw my boyfriend. I was very wrong.
Mistaken.
While I was doing my exercises, the man took advantage of my bending over
No.
to take pictures of me from behind. He didn't take 1 or 2 pictures of me.
Ew.
The
Did your
man
boyfriend beat him up?
obsessively stood behind me and took pictures and videos of me for several minutes. He was obsessed with me. I continued to exercise without knowing this was happening until the stalker decided to increase the intensity.
He got
I was doing
closer.
squats with a barbell, and the man got behind me. As I was
Ooh.
doing the squat, He was trying to explain to me how to do it right.
Boy,
You
no.
have to improve your technique. You have a bad posture. You have to keep your back straight.
Get off
While
me.
he was giving me advice on how to do the exercise well,
I know how to do the fucking
the
thing.
man was touching my waist and hips. He was making me very uncomfortable.
Hit him with
But
one
I
of
thought
those.
he wasn't doing it on purpose. I
Girl,
thought he was
I'm
genuinely
sorry,
trying
but
to help
please,
me.
He's
I
not.
didn't know how to get out of this situation.
Where
without
is
being
your
rude.
man at?
Seeing me uncomfortable, my boyfriend angrily approached me and pushed him away.
Period.
He
Thank
seemed
you.
quite angry, and the two of them started arguing.
Boy, ain't nobody give a
My
fuck about you
boyfriend
being
told
mad.
him to leave me alone, while the man replied that he was just trying to help me. The
Boy,
fight started
that
to
shit up.
escalate, and I wanted to stop my boyfriend. Maybe he was overreacting.
He's
And it
not.
was all a misunderstanding.
It's
In the
not.
middle of the argument, the girl who was training next to me joined the fight
And said?
something to my boyfriend that made me angry,
What she say?
and my blood ran cold at the same time.
What she
The
say?
girl said that she thought the man was taking pictures of me while I was training.
Wow,
said
good
this.
shit.
My boyfriend was furious
Yup.
and took out
Okay.
his cell phone. It
And
was
called
true.
12?
The stalker grabbed his phone again, and my boyfriend got even angrier. He looked like he was going to hit him at any moment,
Hit him.
and it was perfect. If he didn't, I would. The stalker
Period.
chickened out and just walked out of the gym. My boyfriend thanked the girl who helped us, and he came to work out with me. After that, I felt just plain bad. I don't
What do you
know if you can
feel bad
understand
for?
this, but the fact that someone took pictures of me while I was training,
And then he got
the
away.
fact that he came up to me and touched me while pretending to want to help me, it made
Pretending.
me feel fragile, weak, and manipulated. I wanted to cry on the spot, but my
I
boyfriend
would've.
comforted me, and we started training together. That could have been it, and it would have been just an incident,
But
but
he
something
came back?
else happened. After a few more minutes of training, I told my boyfriend that I wanted to leave early. He and I split up in the locker room. I went to the women's locker room to
He's in
take a
the
shower,
locker.
and he to the men's locker room. The locker rooms are usually
better not be
full
in
at a
the
certain
locker.
time. And since it was 5:25 p.m. at that time, an intermediate time, it was almost empty. This did not bother me, as I needed to be alone. I showered as usual and put on the same comfortable clothes I always wear after training. But when I was about to leave, someone came in. It was the man who had harassed me before. What are you doing here?
What's that in
This
his
is the
hand?
women's locker room.
He's about to hit
Hey.
you.
I think there was a misunderstanding between us. You should explain that it was all a mistake.
What's that in
Get
your...
out of here now, or I'll.
I should explain? You explain that it's all a mistake. Oh, girl, my new best friend told me that you was taking pictures of Shorty when she was squatting up and down. I promise you there is no mistake. Get out her face. Why are you in the women's locker room and what is in your hand? Y'all don't
Oh,
be
yeah.
asking the right questions.
No, you don't want to scream.
Oh no? What's stopping me? At that moment,
What's
I
that?
noticed that the man had
Is it a
something
sword?
in his hand.
A weight?
The iron bar that is used to lift weights. The
Oh,
stalker
you
smiled
weirdo.
And used that iron to lock the exit door. That's when I understood my situation.
Jump out the window.
Because if you scream, they'll get me for sure. But until I can get in, you'll be dead.
What do you want?
Wyatt, I don't want to do anything with you. I won't do what you think. I just want to talk. There was a misunderstanding.
What
Boy.
misunderstanding could there have been?
What? Fuck you in
You
the
were taking
misunderstanding.
pictures of me while
Go
I was
ahead.
training.
They were just innocent pictures. I wanted to send them to my friends. I admit it was wrong. But I've been coming to this gym for a long time, and now I won't be able to come here anymore. I just wanted to have a few minutes with you to settle things and make sure everything is okay.
It's
By
not.
locking me up, do you think you'll fix things?
Like you
Hey,
won't.
hey, you don't have to be so defensive. Your boyfriend isn't here for you to pretend you're not interested in me.
What are you
I know you
talking
always
about?
look at me.
No
I
one
don't know
look
what
at
you're
you. I don't
talking
know
about.
you.
I don't look at you.
Oh,
Girl,
yes, you
I'd
do.
be like,
You
baby,
always look at me. You provoke
babe.
me. But you didn't expect me to dare to tell you
Let me
something,
stop before he
did
come in
you?
here
I knew
and
you'd be
ask me if
offended
I'm
if I
playing.
told you.
Because
That's
my
your
man
game.
would be there.
But the game is over.
The stalker was getting closer and closer. I
What?
didn't know what I could
I'm sorry. Every time they say don't scream, your parents were here. My mom will teleport from her room to mine. What? Don't scream. I'm gonna kill your husband. My husband? My? Y'all don't be having faith in your spouses. I'm sorry you don't, because if you had faith in your spouse, when they say tell your husband about this, or don't tell your husband or I'm gonna kill him, and y'all be like, oh, okay, that means you think your husband will get killed. No lie. Tuh, I would have been hollering. I would have been screaming.
do not.
You'd be offended if I told you. That's your game. But the game is over.
The stalker was getting closer and closer. I didn't know what I could do next, or how I would react, but I knew I wasn't going to stand by and let this psycho do whatever he had in mind.
Because ain't
I
no
need
damn
him.
game.
The knee had to be in his balls,
Period.
and I ran out the door.
Yup.
The man knelt in pain, but began to regain his composure quickly. I tried to pull the
knee him
rod
and bust
out
him
of
in
the
the head.
door.
Oh, is it
but
gonna
was
hit you?
stuck. I could feel it move a little at a time, but between my tiredness and my nerves, I couldn't do it in time. And
Girl.
the man was already standing, staring at me.
Big mistake. Do you want to take this bar out? Don't worry, I'll help you.
Help! Somebody help!
Yell all you want. Do you know why I took out this stick? To beat you to death with it. I don't care if I
figured.
get caught later. You know why? Because I'm filthy rich. Even if I get sentenced, do you know how fast I can walk out the back door without anyone noticing? You, on the other hand,
The
are
back
dead.
door.
Do you know why? Answer me! Do you know why?
Boy, ain't nobody care about
Because
you.
I couldn't live after the way you and your boyfriend humiliated me
You're
in
a
front of the
creep.
whole gym. What kind of man
Stop
would
being
that be,
creepy.
Huh?
As soon as he
It's
finished
your own
speaking,
fault.
the man threw
Fucking
himself
weirdo.
at me with a metal rod. At
Ah!
that moment, I understood that he wasn't playing.
He's
The
girl.
blow was
He
aimed at
been.
my head.
He hit you in the head.
Blinded by anger, the stalker swung his stick, trying to hit me.
He hit you in the
After
head.
dodging the second blow, I
Oh,
fell
you
to
up in
the
there.
ground.
Oh, he
I
hit you in the
tried to
head.
dodge the third blow from the ground, but it hit me directly in my shoulder.
Oh.
I tried to crawl towards the exit door while he slowly walked towards me. ready to
nobody
give
hear
me
your
the coup
screaming?
de grace.
My man know how long I take in the shower. That man came after you were out of the shower. He came after you were out of the shower, meaning where in public is the gym. So I can't take as long a shower as I would at home. So we'll say probably 10, 15 minutes tops. Tops before my man's at the door. Where is your man at? My man takes the fastest showers. He could take what? He could take a long shower. He could take a short shower. He could take, where is your man at? You guys are at the gym together. He knew that man was watching. I'm upset at him right now. You got bust in the head. You got bust in the shoulder. Well, I don't know if you got bust in the head, but if he had to bust you in the head because you fell, like, girl, please. Please. I'm sorry. I would have left my man after this. Because you need to leave your man. I ain't leaving mine. Because mine would have been up in there. A bar in the door? You were supposed to shower, come back. You said you wanted to come home early. Coming home early mean you gonna wash your ass fast. Honestly, going home early mean you gonna sit with swamp ass in the car on the way to the house. You can shower at your own house. Like, that man was just taking pictures of your ass and then try to get behind you and pretend like he was helping you. Babe, come on. Like, what are you doing? Please. Where is your man at?
But it didn't happen.
You're hitting the
door
shoulder and the
opened
head.
violently.
Okay,
and someone
finally.
rammed into the man, knocking him to the ground
Finally.
immediately.
You see, I had just been hauling. You should have came in there a little earlier. You wouldn't have got cussed out. Because right after I said all that, then the door want to get bust open. You should have been said that. You should have been up in there. You should have been in there. She's hit in the shoulder and in the head. I know I would have been pissed off. My good sister.
But it didn't happen. The door opened violently,
Finally!
and someone rammed into the man,
Is that your man
knocking
or a
him to the
stranger?
ground immediately. It wasn't my boyfriend.
Nope.
It was the owner of the gym.
You see, the
accompanied
owner of the
by
gym.
2 other men. They were passing through the locker.
The owner of the gym and 2 other men came to save you. Where was your man at? Still in the shower? Talking to hoes in the gym?
room when they heard me scream.
All type of shit.
They grabbed the man and had him down in seconds.
They threw him out the
Soon
window?
after, the police were called, and I was taken to the hospital. My boyfriend was with me the whole time, disappointed
Finally.
and furious with himself for not having imagined that something like this could happen. The psychopath
He should
was
be mad at
arrested
himself.
for attempted murder. And as if there weren't enough witnesses, the gym owner showed the tape of the first harassment to the police. None of us
The first
knew about
2.
it. But just in case, they had security cameras hidden throughout the gym.
The pictures.
Although they didn't film the
then-
locker room, the evidence was more than enough. The man was arrested, just as he said he would be. But he didn't count on one thing. It was not he who had the money, but his family. Faced with so
Obviously,
much
chocolate.
evidence, the family was disgusted with his behavior, so they did not give him any support.
Good shit, mom and dad.
Today,
Holding your son accountable.
The
Love
stalker
to
is
see
still in
it.
prison,
Nasty
and I know
ass
he will
bastard.
be for many, many years to come.
Good, because mama and daddy ain't playing. No! You're lying. Ew. Ew. Get away from her. Nobody cares. Please stop touching people without their consent. That's her boyfriend? Get your ass up out of here. What is that one? Oh, what is that one? Las Vegas? I think we already did one of those. I'm gonna have to look at that one. That looks interesting. That nasty ass bastard at the end. I feel like all of these were really good. All of them. Old buddy at number 2 getting knocked out. The first one, girl, I'm still mad at you because what? A little hair dye and some contacts should not have, he should not have been that mistake. You should not have been that confused looking at him. You see, like, how long were you with that man? You were with that man for dumb long. Y'all, this is back to the story. She said dumb long. And she told that man if she left him, he said, she told that man she was going to leave him. He said, you leave him, I'll kill you. She's going to the gym, and then she finally go on a date, and then she finally agreed to go on the date, and then boom, the date's gone. Girl, that's your ex. Come on now. Story number 2. In the real footage clip, let me know in the comments. Did our buddy push Gary? Because it looks like we did see the bump up the shoulder, but it does look like oh boy pushed Gary first. Like, I ain't gonna hold you, but that's what it looked like to me. And story 3, that man is nasty. He deserved everything he got. I'm mad for sis, because where was your man at when you was getting tore up in the back? Let me know your thoughts and comments in the comments. And until next time, you guys, I love you. Bye.